With Dr. Beltran, I learned something new. Sometimes it was a technique or a procedure. Sometimes it was a life lesson. Like, be more careful about who you bring home from the bar.
Hey, Grey's
The night.
Anatomy fans. Get ready, because Grey Sloan Memorial is undergoing some major changes. In a surprising move driven by network-wide budget cuts, ABC has significantly trimmed the ensemble cast for season 22, leaving many fan-favorite characters with reduced episode counts, and some, like Dr. Amelia Shepard played by Katarina Scorsone, are even taking temporary sabbaticals until 2026. This isn't just about money. It's changing the very fabric of Grey's storytelling. Producers are now focusing on smaller character clusters per episode, shining a spotlight on newer doctors and allowing for more guest star appearances. While some viewers on social media are calling it strange, others are saying they'd rather watch fewer episodes than no show at all. And if that wasn't enough, the season 21 finale left us with a literal explosion. Showrunner Meg Marinas confirmed that almost no one was safe, and the season 22 premiere delivered, killing off Dr. Monica Beltran. The emotional fallout for characters like Jules Millen and Amelia Shepard will be a central theme as the hospital and its doctors attempt to rebuild. But it's not all doom and gloom. In a surprising twist, Dr. Maggie Pierce, played by Kelly McCreary, returned for the 450th episode with a bombshell. She's pregnant by a donor. McCreary is even open to a permanent return, suggesting Maggie's baby could be the catalyst for some much-needed family reunions at Grey Sloan. Despite the cast adjustments and dramatic storylines, ABC assures fans that Grey's Anatomy remains a cornerstone of its primetime lineup, with a confirmed season 22 and even a season 23 already renewed. So, while things are definitely shaking up, the carousel never stops spinning at Grey Sloan. What do you think about these changes? Let us know in the comments below. Hey lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Grey's Anatomy Official. Grey's Anatomy trims its ensemble cast amid cost cuts. The cuts within the Grey's Anatomy team are a result of network-driven episode reductions, forcing temporary exits for veteran cast members as producers reshape season schedules and budgets. The adjustments have also affected storytelling. Writers are using smaller character clusters per episode, creating a more focused approach to subplots and relationships. In doing so, the series gains flexibility to spotlight newer doctors and reintroduce guest stars who might otherwise be crowded out. Grey's Anatomy cast members exit temporarily. Searches for Grey's Anatomy cast cuts 2025, ABC budget decisions, and episode list 2025 have all spiked since the story broke. Despite concerns, ABC representatives have reassured fans that the show remains a key part of the network's primetime slate. As one Reddit comment summarized, Grey's has reinvented itself before. It'll survive this too. The message from production appears to echo that sentiment. The hospital doors remain open, even if a few familiar faces clock in less often this year. ABC's Grey's Anatomy is adjusting its long-standing formula as financial pressures sweep through network television. Trade insiders say the show's veteran cast have seen their episode counts reduced this season as part of an overall cost-saving plan. While the move is temporary, it has triggered a wave of speculation about the future of several fan-favorite characters. Social media first picked up on the change when keen-eyed viewers noticed missing names in the opening credits. Fan pages and entertainment reporters soon confirmed that a handful of main cast members would appear in fewer episodes. Industry observers described the change as a budget strategy rather than a creative decision. One producer reportedly told a trade outlet that the reduction allows the show to stay on air without sacrificing production quality or story integrity. Posts from viewers on X reflect mixed feelings. One popular comment read, "It's strange seeing Grey Sloan without the full team, but I'd rather watch fewer episodes than no show at all." Others questioned whether the show's tone would shift with fewer veterans on screen. The adjustments have also affected storytelling. Writers are using smaller character clusters per episode, creating a more focused approach to subplots and relationships. In doing so, the series gains flexibility to spotlight newer doctors and reintroduce guest stars who might otherwise be crowded out. Searches for Grey's Anatomy cast cuts 2025, ABC budget decisions, and episode list 2025 have all spiked since the story broke. Despite concerns, ABC representatives have reassured fans that the show remains a key part of the network's primetime slate. As one Reddit comment summarized, Grey's has reinvented itself before. It'll survive this too. The message from production appears to echo that sentiment. The hospital doors remain open, even if a few familiar faces clock in less often this year. Grey's Anatomy, Season 22, Katarina Scorsone departs series. When will she return? Grey's Anatomy is saying goodbye to a member of its regular cast, at least temporarily. The departure of Amelia Shepherd was announced at the end of Thursday night's episode. Katarina Scorsone joined the ABC medical drama during its 7th season as Derek's sister. She also appeared in the spin-off series Private Practice during its entire run. Amelia will be taking a sabbatical, and it was hinted that she will be spending that time with her people. Kelly McCreary returned for the episode, and she told Meredith and Amelia that she is pregnant. Is it possible Amelia could spend some time with Maggie in Chicago during her time away from Seattle? According to TV Line, viewers will see Amelia back at Grey Sloan in 2026, likely when the series returns at mid-season. Ellen Pompeo, Chandra Wilson, James Pickens Jr., Kevin McKidd, Kim Raver, Camilla Luddington, Chris Carmack, Jake Borelli, Richard Flood, Anthony Hill, Jason George, Alexis Floyd, Harry Shum Jr., Adelaide Kane, Nico Tero, and Trevor Jackson star in the series, which follows the staff of Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital. What has the Grey's Anatomy cast said about who is definitely dying in Season 22 after that explosion? Grey's Anatomy is definitely killing some characters off in Season 22, but the big question is who? During the May finale of the hit ABC series, Piper Perabo played a mother of a patient who brought a highly flammable acetylene tank into the operating room to force Amelia, Katarina Scorsone, to perform a high-risk surgery to save her daughter. The hostage situation also put interns Simone, Alexis Floyd, and Adams, Nico Tero, at risk, who Meredith Ellen Pompeo tried to save before it was too late. Despite performing the operation successfully, the tank was accidentally opened, which let the flammable contents leak onto the operating floor. The final moments of the finale showed an explosion that only Meredith and Warren, Jason George, officially survived, for now. Showrunner Meg Marinas wouldn't confirm who was injured in the blast, but she made it clear that almost no one was guaranteed to return for Season 22. Which Grey's Anatomy stars are, and aren't, returning for Season 22 after hospital explosion? Well, I feel like a lot of people are probably sitting in operating rooms, she told The Hollywood Reporter that same month. So unless you saw them and where they were when that explosion went off, I don't think we can say anyone is necessarily safe. Marinas noted that she spoke with the cast about what to expect, adding, I've had conversations with some of them, but they all know it's a Grey's Anatomy cliffhanger and they know every year they never know what to expect. They're here for it. They like to keep our stories exciting and fresh. At the time, no decisions were yet made on who could return and who wouldn't. But even in the last 2 seasons with what you saw this year, we had to reduce the cast a little bit because of industry-wide budget cuts, and everybody has very passionate feelings about their favorite characters, Marinas shared. But if we can get the writers upset, then we know we're doing it right. It's not as satisfying a story if people aren't upset when someone leaves. It's supposed to make people upset and sad, so I'm sure there'll be some arguments. But I've been persuaded before to change my mind on things. She continued, I definitely have thoughts. Whether or not those thoughts change, that can always happen. I haven't put pen to paper yet, but it'll be very soon that I do. I have no idea. I have a text chain going on with so many cast members that are like, what do you think? Luddington exclusively told us weekly in June. And nobody knows. No one knows, which is terrifying. Luddington, who has played Dr. Jo Wilson since Season 9, is always worried about her character's future. We've seen too much and we know too much, she continued. There's not a single season I'm not worried about. In response to fan theory that Luddington's on-screen husband Chris Carmack's future could be in danger, she added, I just hope he's alive. And if there's injury, what that is and what that looks like, I have no idea. So I feel like that is on my mind. Luddington concluded, I just hope that my on-screen husband is okay. Because she's gonna need that support and they need it from each other. So I think it's gonna throw a wrench in things and it's gonna be a lot. They have 2 kids and 2 kids on the way. This Grey's Anatomy character should return in Season 22 after Bombshell. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 brought back Drive Maggie Pierce, Kelly McCreary, for the show's 450th episode, but instead of her returning to participate in a major surgery or a groundbreaking procedure, she arrived, along with Dr. Meredith Grey Ellen Pompeo, to help her sister, Dr. Amelia Shepard Katerina Scorsone, through the dark period following the hospital explosion. Amelia blamed herself for Dr. Monica Beltran's, Natalie Morales' death and Dr. Atticus Lincoln's, Chris Carmack, injury, because she felt that if she never performed the surgery on her young patient, Dylan Young, who's now experiencing locked-in syndrome, then Dylan's mother wouldn't have inadvertently caused the explosion that took the life of her friend and nearly killed her son Scout's father, Link. However, Maggie also revealed a bombshell of her own. She made the choice to become pregnant by a donor. Now that Maggie is expecting a baby, she should permanently return to Grey's Anatomy because she'll need and want the support of her sisters, her biological father, Dr. Richard Weber, James Pickens Jr., and her friends as she begins this new chapter in her life. Maggie's family should be involved in her baby's life. One of Grey's Anatomy's central themes is family, biological or otherwise. When Meredith's son, Bailey, fell ill with appendicitis, she explained to her boyfriend, Dr. Nick Marsh, Scott Speedman, that she was all her children had. However, he reminded her that she actually had a village. The same is true for Maggie as she begins her journey as a single mother. Her sisters should be involved in her child's life, along with her father, Richard. Maggie is the biological child of Richard and Dr. Ellis Grey, Kate Burton, making her Meredith's half-sister, but she grew up with her adoptive parents. Because of this, Maggie will want her child to know their blood relatives, as well as their extended family such as Amelia, who's actually Meredith's sister-in-law because she's her late husband, Dr. Derek Shepard's, Patrick Dempsey's sister. Maggie didn't grow up with her biological relatives, Richard and Meredith, so it's almost certain that she'll want them to be a big part of her child's life, especially because they're such influential people. In addition, there are many cousins, including Meredith's children, Zola, Bailey, and Alice, and Amelia Scout, who should know Maggie's child. Maggie also knows that she has a strong support system in her sisters. When she asked Meredith and Amelia how she was going to raise a person without them, Meredith told her to say the word, and they could be in Chicago by lunch. It would be a fun change of scenery to see Meredith and Amelia visiting Maggie in the Windy City to help her with her baby. Kelly McCreary is open to returning to Grey's Anatomy as Maggie. In an interview with Soaps.com, McCreary, who hadn't been seen on Grey's Anatomy since season 20, expressed her interest in returning to the show in order to portray Maggie, including her family and friends in her baby's life. While the show hasn't contacted her about it, she finds it hard to believe that Maggie's family, especially her sisters, wouldn't be included. McCreary said, "There have been no talks with me, Les. But I can't imagine that Amelia and Meredith will not be looped in and involved in their new niece or nephew's life." Not only does McCreary think that Maggie should come back to be with her loved ones during this exciting, yet scary time in her life, but she herself would like to return because she considers the Grey's Anatomy cast to be her family. When asked if she was open to appearing more often if the show took that direction, McCreary was enthusiastic. She gushed, "I love going back to Grey's Anatomy. It feels like going home. That's absolutely my family. And I love the way that we closed out Maggie's storyline over the long term on the show with a sense that she would continue sort of doing what she was doing at Grey Sloan, but just in another, bigger capacity." McCreary continued, "So whenever there's a really fantastic storyline like this one to come back for, I have to stay open to that. Maggie's still out there, and I'd love to find out what's going on with her. As long as the audience is interested, then I'm happy to come back." McCreary also acknowledged that Maggie has yet to tell her ex-husband, Dr. Winston Digu Anthony Hill, and her father Richard about the baby. She said, "There's definitely more important people to loop in on this, and to see how they're integrated into this child's life or not. I mean, it's very interesting to me that Maggie left her husband and then decided to have a baby. Maggie's baby is the perfect catalyst for McCreary to return to Grey's Anatomy. She's a missing piece in her family, and her return made the sisters trio complete with Meredith and Amelia. It would be hilarious to watch the three of them stumble through taking care of a newborn baby together, and seeing Richard's reaction to becoming a grandfather would be priceless. It'll also be intriguing to see how Winston responds to Maggie's pregnancy. Maggie should come back to Grey's Anatomy permanently. Your official Grey's Anatomy recap. Season 22. Episode 2. At the end of the Grey's Anatomy Season 22 premiere, Meredith Grey was adamant that to get over this latest tragedy at Grey Sloan, they would rebuild. And in this second installment of the season, the 450th episode of the series, by the way, that's exactly what we find our doctors doing, both literally and emotionally. While construction is underway on the OR floor, everyone is finding, and many are struggling with, how to move on from what happened only a week ago. While everyone has their own way to process their trauma, there does seem to be a common thread. Everyone is taking baby steps and finding comfort through community. It's honestly very healthy, especially for this place. Picking up the pieces. It's been a week since the explosion and all the chaos and loss that came with it, and people at Grey Sloan are not doing well. Take Jules, for example. Jules is doing that thing where she pretends she's fine, but by the way she's yelling, "I'm fine," everyone knows she is definitely not fine. She's supposed to be tending to her brand new interns while on Winston's service, but she is agitated, and the more Winston wants to talk about what happened and how they're both coping with Beltran's death, the worse it gets. Not surprisingly, these two wind up with a patient who teaches them, especially Jules, the lesson they need to learn right now. The only way forward is by sharing your feelings with your people. The patient is an older Cambodian man, brought in by his concerned daughter. In his youth, he fled the genocide in Cambodia in the 1970s, but he never spoke about the horrors he faced, including both the physical and emotional traumas. Previous surgeries his daughter had no idea about left him with a condition called splenosis, in which cells from his spleen became implanted and grew in his chest. By removing the accessory spleen, much of his chest pain should be alleviated. His emotional pain? Well, alleviating that will take some opening up to others who have been through it and or who care about him. The same goes for Jules. She's having panic attacks during procedures. She calms herself by naming things she sees, a technique Winston says he uses too, and is snapping at everyone. By the end of the episode, however, she realizes she needs to talk about what she went through and properly grieve the loss of Dr. Beltran. She decides to call on her people to support her, Simone, Quan, and Lucas. They hold a makeshift candlelight vigil in the intern hallway. Jules talks about what a privilege it was to learn from Dr. Monica Beltran. Another coping mechanism running rampant at Grey Sloan. Denial, an old favorite. Link has a long road of PT ahead after his near-death experience, but he refuses to acknowledge that he needs to take things slow. He pushes himself so hard that eventually he falls over in his hospital room, and when Jo tries to help, he yells at her to just leave him alone. Thankfully, Owen realizes what's going on, reminds Link that screaming at his pregnant wife isn't a great look, and tells his friend to let some of his obvious anger and frustration out on him. Link unloads. He's resentful of Jo for looking at him like a patient. He's resentful of his body for not working. He's angry that Monica died, that his patient died, that his scrub nurse got hurt. He knows he should be grateful because he came so close to dying, to not growing old with Jo. He's okay with the physical rehab, but he's not sure how to emotionally come back from what he experienced. There's no easy answer, but he knows that healing starts with opening up to Jo. Owen's inspired by Link's realization that he needs to take baby steps to recover. As Jo says, rebuilding your life doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It's a step-by-step mentality. In this episode, both Owen and Teddy, facing divorce, take what seems like the first steps to rebuilding their lives separately. For Owen, that seems to mean tracking down an Airstream and living on the land again. It feels right to have an Airstream cameo in the 450th episode, doesn't it? For Teddy, who is completely overwhelmed with administrative work and missing the high of surgery, that means handing the keys of the hospital over to Weber. He's happy to take on the chief of surgery role until Teddy figures out what she needs. Weber becoming chief of surgery? Also very fitting for such a major milestone of an episode. Like the blades of a forklift through a chest cavity, so are the days of our lives. Hey, whenever you're brooding over a perceived bad day, please remember that there may be someone out there who currently has the blades of a forklift impaled through their abdomen. That's called perspective. When a construction crew member outside of the ER is left dangling in the air, held up only by the forklift blade through his chest, husband and wife duo Ben and Bailey attempt to make sure this man doesn't have a really bad day, if you know what I mean. Ben, now a fifth-year resident, is feeling good. He's feeling confident now that he's gotten the permanent gig at Grey Sloan again, and has seemingly won over the person who turned out to be his white whale, Teddy Altman. In fact, when things start to go south with the forklift guy, there's the need to cut the blades before bringing him to N or to remove them and fix the damage, and the guy is losing blood and is unable to breathe, and things are taking entirely too long. It's Ben who suggests an awake intubation right there in the ambulance bay. And it's Teddy who backs him up. He carries that confidence into the OR with Bailey. It's a delicate and complex surgery, but Ben is cool and calm and in control the entire time. This is especially helpful since in addition to this delicate and complex surgery, there's a whole lot of romantic angst in the room thanks to the ongoing soap opera that is Simone and Lucas' relationship. It certainly doesn't help matters that Simone's one-night stand Dr. Bryant is in the room too. Lucas is still steaming over the fact that Simone slept with someone else and that she doesn't think it's a good idea to get back together, and he's making snide remarks and giving her a lot of attitude. It's not a great energy to bring into N or where a man's life hangs in the balance. Or, like, any room where you don't want to annoy people. Get a grip, Lucas. Alas, he is a man ruled by his abundant emotions, and eventually, mercifully, Ben kicks him out of his OR. Bailey has never looked so turned on by her man than when watching him calmly dismiss an underling and then crush a surgery. I mean, crush in a good way. The forklift guy survives. Ben has saved the day. His reward? Bailey asks him to be chief resident. At the end of the day, things are less rosy for Lucas and Simone. When they exchange words about what went down in that, or Simone side-eyes at Bryant while Lucas is talking about the rando she slept with give it all away. Lucas realizes that the rando is one of their new interns. Sisters. As was made clear last week, Amelia blames herself and her inability to help little Dylan Gatlin for the explosion that took her friend, almost took the father of her son, and hurt a whole bunch of other people. It appears Amelia's guilt and grief have taken slug form. She refuses to get out of bed. She hasn't done her laundry, and her grocery situation is slim. This woman is existing from dumping shredded cheese from a bag into her mouth, because I get that. Serious question. Where has Lucas been living since the explosion? I know he has his own drama, but, help your aunt out. Never fear. The sisters are here. That's right, not only is Meredith on Fix Amelia patrol, but Maggie flies in from Chicago to be there for her sister too. Once the group learns that Amelia's washing machine is broken, they force her into a field trip over to Mare's old house to do some laundry and some chatting. While Amelia is mostly resistant to any and all help, it turns out she's not the only sister who needs, well, her sisters. Surprise! Maggie is pregnant, thanks to a sperm donor. She didn't want to tell Meredith and Amelia because she was afraid they would talk her out of being a single mom, but she is very excited about it. In true Meredith form, her response is both that it's wonderful and it's going to be so hard. But just as the sisters convene for Amelia, they assure Maggie that if she ever needs them, they'll be in Chicago immediately. She's not doing this alone. The rest of their time together is mostly spent reminding Amelia that she was trying to help Dylan and that all of them have made mistakes or had bad outcomes with patients before. Maggie even invokes Sabi's name, a truly dark time. The sisters also take a quick detour into considering opening a wine bar together, and let it be known that I would watch that show if Grey's Anatomy is looking to do another spin-off. But really what the day brings is a reminder that these three women have a real support system with one another. This is perhaps what gives Amelia the courage to go into Grey Sloan and inform part-time Chief Weber that she'd like to take a sabbatical and be with her people for a while. But before we part ways, it should be noted that it was not lost on me, nor I'd guess any of you, that in this, the 450th episode of Grey's Anatomy, not only does Meredith return to the carousel that never stops spinning, this time with her kids and Maggie, but that she is also quick to call them extraordinary. A momentous and meaningful occasion indeed. Grey's Anatomy, 911, Rookie, Shifting Gears, and more ABC shows renewed. Dr. Odyssey, still uncertain Grey's Anatomy, isn't slowing down anytime soon. The iconic medical drama has been renewed for its 22nd season. This extension solidifies its status as the longest-running primetime medical drama and ABC's longest-running scripted series. With this, ABC has also officially renewed its freshman comedy Shifting Gears, starring Tim Allen and Kat Dennings, for a second season. ABC's procedural drama 911 has also been renewed for a 9th season with an 18-episode order. With these shows, Rookie and Will Trent have also been renewed, however. The fate of Doctor Odyssey remains uncertain, a report in Deadline suggests. Grey's Anatomy star leaving series through 2026 due to budget cuts. The ABC drama is adopting a cost-cutting measure that's become common for similar long-running series. The Grey's Anatomy cast is temporarily shrinking. 2 episodes into Grey's Anatomy's new season 22, one of the series' regulars is taking a short break, fans learned on Thursday, October 16th. Season 21 of the long-running ABC medical drama ended with a bang, literally, when a catastrophic explosion at the hospital, which was the result of a hostage situation, left the lives of several doctors in danger. The impact of the blast is still being felt by the characters this season: Amelia Shepherd, Katerina Scorsone, whose patient was responsible for the explosion, required an intervention from Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, and Maggie Pierce, Kelly McCreary. Still, the trauma of the explosion was ultimately too much for her to bear, and season 22's second episode saw Amelia announce she's taking a sabbatical. Amelia's sabbatical provides an opportunity for Scorsone's role to be put on hiatus, per Deadline. Sources told the publication that the actress' absence will stretch across the next 8 episodes, with Amelia eventually returning in 2026. For the 2024-25 season, Grey's Anatomy employed a cost-cutting measure that's become more common in long-running shows of its kind, reducing the minimum guarantees for its long-standing cast members. The show shrunk series regulars' guarantees from 18 to 14 episodes per season, Deadline reported previously. The same measure is in effect for Grey's Anatomy's 2025 to 2026 season, per the outlet, with the exception of Scorsone, 44, who will be featured in 10 out of the 18 episodes due to her character's sabbatical. The decrease in Scorsone's screen time only extends to the current season, however, sources told Deadline. Scorsone joined the show in 2010 for season 7, following her role in the medical drama spin-off Private Practice. Her role as Amelia, sister to the late Derek Shepherd, Patrick Dempsey, and sister-in-law to Meredith, is marked by her ambition as a doctor, plus her recovery from drug addiction and emotional trauma. Grey's Anatomy boss on the season 22 premiere: how often Ellen Pompeo will be on in Killing, spoiler. After that or explosion. This interview contains major spoilers from Only the Strong Survive, the season 22 premiere of Grey's Anatomy. Death strikes at Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital once again. In May, after she decided to blow up the hospital's floor again in the final moments of the season 21 finale, Grey's Anatomy showrunner Meg Marinis said that every character, other than protagonist Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, and Ben Warren, Jason Winston George, could potentially be on the chopping block. Heading into the 22nd season's October 9th premiere, which picks up in the immediate aftermath of that explosion, eagle-eyed viewers waited with bated breath as they pored over photos and teasers from the new season to see which characters they could safely rule out from the death count. There were a few doctors, however, who were suspiciously MIA: Dr. Atticus Lincoln, Chris Carmack, who had just gotten married to and was expecting twins with Dr. Joe Wilson, Camilla Luddington, Dr. Jules Millen, Adelaide Kane, and Dr. Monica Beltran, Natalie Morales, who were operating on a young patient, and Dr. Lucas Adams, Nico Taro, who was on his way to inform Dr. Richard Weber, James Pickens Jr., about the presence of flammable gas on the floor. When you sit down to tell a story, you think about everybody who we saw that was in danger, and you go through the chain reactions if you did kill that character off and who that would affect and how that would help or derail the next season for us, Marinis tells Variety. Obviously, I didn't want to kill anybody. It's not a fun thing to do. It's just sometimes where the story leads. Those decisions are extremely difficult. They're painful because not only do you love the character, but you love working with the actor. It could have been any of the people that were on that floor. We had discussions about everybody. The jam-packed premiere follows 3 main storylines. Meredith opens up the clinic next to the hospital and, with the help of Dr. Simone Griff, Alexis Floyd, and a new class of interns, treats patients, including an intern who has been injured in the blast. After being unable to move an operating light that had fallen on her pelvis, Beltran walks Millen through the rest of the pediatric surgery. Then his wife, Dr. Miranda Bailey, Chunder Wilson, Dr. Winston Digu, Anthony Hill, Dr. Owen Hunt, Kevin McKidd, and Dr. Teddy Altman, Kim Raver, work together to save Link, who has been crushed underneath a piece of the ceiling. In the end, Marinus decided to kill off Beltran, who dies of internal bleeding due to her injuries. I made the decision on Monica as I was sitting down to write those scenes between her and Jules, explains Marinus, who had yet to kill off a doctor since stepping into the role of showrunner in season 20. I always knew that I wanted her to guide Jules through a surgery. But as the scenes started to be written, it became clearer and clearer that that was the way the story wanted to go. In the conversation below, Marinus elaborates on her decision to kill off Beltran and how that character's death will have lasting effects on Millen, Dr. Amelia Shepard, Katerina Scorsone, and even Link. How involved Meredith will be in the rebuilding of her home base after she had just committed to returning to Grey Sloan on a more regular basis, what she has in store for the rest of her very large ensemble cast, and what to expect from the show's landmark 450th episode, which airs on October 16. How did Natalie Morales react to the news that you were killing Beltran off? And what kinds of conversations did you have with her about crafting her character's final scenes in the premiere? I had to make a very difficult phone call to her, and she's an absolute professional, though. She's a writer and director as well as being an actor. She understands story, and she just wanted to make sure that we made it the best story possible. We walked through every scene together. She gave me her notes, and I talked about what I was thinking, when, and where. Those 2 days were really hard to film, because not only was her performance heartbreaking, but we were all sad to see her go. I think we wanted to show how amazing of a character that Monica was, how selfless she was, how she died doing what she was called to do in life, which is to be a pediatric surgeon. She was always about the kids. She always put them first, and we've shown her and Millen having this dynamic together before in previous episodes where Jules would freeze an N or on a case, and Monica would have to break her out of that. And this was obviously the ultimate one of those stories. Jules is someone who has historically not been a fan of children, and this, I think, obviously has changed her mind. But also, this is going to have a profound impact on Amelia. How will Beltran's death affect Millen and Amelia going forward? I think that Jules is going to have a bit of trauma from being in this, or that was obviously destroyed, and being in a stressful situation, but the fact that she witnessed Monica's last moments, that will definitely be picked up in episode 2. Also being picked up in episode 2 is Amelia's response to this. She feels ultimate guilt for the belief that she could have taken on that Dylan Gatlin surgery to begin with, and then having to go back in for another surgery. Obviously, she was taken hostage and that's not her fault, but she's going to take on a lot of that culpability. Monica's untimely demise will likely reignite talks of the infamous bury your gays trope, and some viewers who had been rooting for Monica to get together with Amelia will certainly be upset about this outcome. What would you say to fans who are disappointed that you chose to kill off Monica before a potential romance between her and Amelia could have even been explored? Obviously, it was not my intent to go into the trope, but I'm aware of it. What I would say is that I didn't want to lose the character. It's where the story was going. Unfortunately, that relationship will not pan out, but it will have an effect on Amelia, and we will be honoring the character. Her death is not just over in episode 1. We'll also continue to honor that character and honor that community by continuing to have those kinds of relationships depicted on the show. Link's prognosis certainly didn't look good for most of the episode. He had a penetrating trauma to the chest, a pneumothorax, and multiple rib fractures, and he also had to be resuscitated, but he has pulled through. What does his road to recovery look like going forward? Will there be any long-term effects of coming so close to dying? There absolutely will be both emotional and physical consequences. He is obviously still going to be in the hospital in episode 2, and we're going to play the reality of how difficult recovery is with his physical recovery, but also what he went through and the fact that it happened when he was trying to do a knee replacement on someone. He is obviously going to be deeply distressed about the other people that were in that, or he's going to be distressed about Monica, why he survived and not Monica. That will all be addressed. You told me at the end of last season that part of the reason Meredith made a new deal with Catherine, Debbie Allen, to spend more time back at Grey Sloan is that you wanted to see her teach and operate more. Meredith ends up operating, albeit in the clinic, on an intern named Danny Jade Pettijohn, who suffered a blunt force trauma during the blast. What did you want to accomplish with Meredith's arc in these first few episodes of the season? The difference between Meredith and a lot of these characters on the show is that she's been through multiple hospital catastrophes, so it doesn't make it less scary, but she has this ability to compartmentalize and just focus on, let's save lives and let's do what we can. She knows how to improvise. She knows how to think on her feet. She's not fazed about having to do a surgery in the reproductive clinic, unlike the residents, and I think she's not fazed when an intern collapses. She just has seen and been through so much. She is the captain on the ship that you want to be with when you go down. Also, I wanted to honor a parallel of what happens with this show. So many people have gone to med school because of Meredith Grey, and I wanted to also play that on the show a little bit. I think Dani has known who Meredith Grey is ever since she wanted to be a doctor. Will we see more of Dani going forward, or was this really a one-off storyline? You'll see her again. How much will we see of Meredith this season? Is Ellen Pompeo still contracted to appear in 7 episodes while continuing to do the voiceovers for each episode? Yeah, it'll look similar to what she's done in the past. We want to have her as much as we can, and we will have her as much as we can. It just depends on the schedule, but we see a lot of her at the beginning of the season. How involved will Meredith be in the rebuilding of the hospital then? She'll be pretty involved, I think. Obviously, with the lack of Enor Flor, there's not many working ORs, so there's fewer surgeries. The second episode talks about how all elective surgeries are cancelled, so it's just really trauma surgeries. But no, she'll have a big role, and I think Richard is really grateful to have her as his partner in this. Scott Speedman's R.J. Decker pilot was just ordered to series at ABC, but given that Meredith and Nick are still together, will we be seeing Nick around at all? Have you had discussions with Scott about how he could do both shows? Yes, and he will pop up. You'll see him at the beginning of the season as well. He loves being on the show. I'm thrilled for him. I'm really excited to be able to see him on screen, and not just on Grey's Anatomy. It's the same family. We'll try to work out what we can, but I'm just happy for people to get these opportunities. So it'll just be a scheduling puzzle, but they're going to send me the schedule, and we'll do what we can because we still want to see him on the show. At the end of the premiere, as they stare at the debris from the explosion on the ore floor, Meredith tells Richard that they're going to do what they always do, rebuild. Would you say rebuilding is the overarching theme of the season? There's definitely a theme of rebuilding. There's also a theme of hope. When it's all gone, who helps you find it? And what keeps you having it? Meredith seemed to be too focused on Dani to notice, but Simone ends up working with Dr. Wes Bryant, Trevor Jackson, the surgical intern that she hooked up with at Joe's bar while she was technically on a break from Lucas. Simone finally tells Lucas that she slept with someone else at the end of the episode. How will Lucas handle that news, and how will their dynamic shift again this season with all of them now working at the same hospital? Well, he doesn't know who it is yet, so that information still needs to play out, and it will. I think we decided to have her blurt out and tell him in this episode because she feels like it's the only thing that will make him listen to her saying, "We shouldn't get back together." She doesn't want to be dishonest with him and get back together with this hanging in the balance. I think she's also a little confused about the day that she's just spent with this new guy. She clearly has an attraction to him, as much as she wants to deny it, and I think she's enough of a good person that she's like, I can't get back together with Lucas if this exists, and I'm going to be seeing this person in the hospital. That isn't to say that she wants to be with Wes. She definitely doesn't want to be with Wes. She wants to tamp those feelings down, but I think she's trying to be fair, and it will only get messier. Teddy is still reeling in some ways from her decision to separate from Owen at the end of last season, and she admits that she doesn't know what the future will hold for them. What can you say about what is ahead for her, either personally or professionally? I think she's going to be very overwhelmed as chief, and we're going to pick that story up in episode 2. She was a surgeon in the military. She was a trauma surgeon. So she should be used to this kind of thing, this hospital disaster. I think because she's been a suit for so long, she's kind of forgotten the type of doctor and person that she used to be, and she recognizes that when she sees Ben, and she has realized maybe she's made a mistake firing him, because he's only doing what she used to do. I'm really interested in seeing that side of Teddy again, bringing back that trauma surgeon version of Teddy. After working together to save Link, Teddy has a change of heart about Ben and allows him to complete his residency at Grey Sloan. What's ahead for Ben this season? We're going to tell fewer stories of Ben being behind and more stories of him coming into his own, being a leader, and Bailey recognizing that, as well as him getting the respect that he deserves from other people. Winston is given the difficult job of having to comfort Jules and break the news to Amelia about Beltran's death. What's ahead for him? His career is going to be on the rise a little bit because he just did this amazing thing with Teddy, so they're going to get recognition for that, and we'll see him continue to challenge himself with difficult cases and surgeries. For the Jules dynamic, he's a stand-up guy at work. He's not going to actively pursue something that could be inappropriate, but those feelings don't just go away, obviously. I think it's going to be interesting to see her side of it, because we really played his side of it at the end of last season, so now we'll be looking at hers. The 450th is your first milestone episode as showrunner. The synopsis teases that Meredith spends time with Amelia. What can you preview about that hour? That sisterhood relationship is very important on the show. Sisterhood has been a very consistent theme for our show for 22 years. The 450th is a perfect blend of nostalgia, but it also has high stakes with some medicine, and you're going to see things that we've seen before but done in different ways. I really believe it's a celebration of the show. It honors the show, but it still has its place in that it's the second episode of this season, so it's still related to the premiere and the aftermath of what happened at the hospital. Felicia Rashad was at the Grey's 450th episode celebration last week because she is directing an upcoming episode. Do we have Debbie Allen to thank for getting Felicia in that director's chair? Oh, absolutely. We have Debbie to thank for that. She and Debbie are very close. I mean, has she seen every episode? Probably not, but that's a really tall order. But we are so honored and thrilled to have her. I mean, it's Felicia Rashad. When I spoke to her, I kind of had this moment of, I just spoke to Claire Huxtable? But she is so lovely. And also, just to see the two of them together, you've got two iconic legends in the same room. Is there anything else you can tease that we haven't already talked about? Those babies are going to be delivered. Joe and Link's babies? Is that happening in the first half of the season? Yes. Are you still dealing with the same issue as last season in terms of not being able to have all of the series regulars in each episode due to industry-wide budget cuts? Yes, it's a similar setup, and that's always hard. It takes a lot of puzzle solving, but we've gotten pretty good at what we do, so we're getting through it. Do you have any plans to address the Trump administration's impending cuts to Medicaid or anything else in the political climate right now? We're obviously not a political show, and we're always going to address it from the doctor's point of view, so we are going to tell the facts from how the doctors are experiencing it. But we are Greys. We're a show that's been on for 22 years, and we've always adapted to what's going on in the world. We do it strictly from doctors' points of views, not politicians. The reason why I'm asking is because The Pit will be confronting those issues in its second season. Out of curiosity, as someone who has basically grown up and cut their teeth in this genre, have you watched that new medical drama yet? I haven't finished it, but I've definitely watched some of it. What did you think? It feels very different just because it's a very different show, but I love medical shows, so I celebrate all of them. It doesn't matter that I'm working on one of them too. It's not a competition. What's good for one medical show is good for all of us. And I'm an ER girl, so seeing Noah while in the ER, I'm happy.